Bonjour. Good Lord. I think I should take a drink of water. I was going to try to say bonjour, everyone. Oh my gosh, talking too fast, right? Right. Bonjour, everyone. That's hi, hello in Potawatomi, everyone. Bonjour, peeps, is how I usually start out. Um, yeah, it's Monday. What can I say, right? It is Monday, October 15th, and in the afternoon here in Tomah, Wisconsin. That's in the upper Midwest. And for today's card draw live stream. And this is something that I do just about every day. I have missed a day or two here or there, but not many, not since May, beginning of May. And so anyway, it's good. It's good to be with you guys. Well, Stephanie just joined us. Hi, Stephanie. I was just going to get ready to like and share it because now that I've started doing the afternoon live streams, there's some people who still think I'm doing mornings, and that's okay. But I just need to let them know. So I'm going to be liking and sharing the broadcast, and it's just going to take me a second here. So I'm using my phone. And so we're liking and we're sharing. I'm going to share it to my news feed. And if it'll let me share, come on. There we go. News feed. And I'm just saying hi, friends. I'm live streaming. And please join me. There we go. We'll post that. And then I'm going to share it over to the Star Nations Radio Network closed group, because that's where most of the active community members hang out. So I'm just going to say hi, peeps. Live streaming. And please join me. There we go. There. And we'll send it over to the closed group. There we go. And that's done. Yay. So yesterday, after I was done with this live stream, I went back down to my house, and because I broadcast from Star Nations Academy, and I wasn't home very long, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so, and it started snowing. We were supposed to get snow yesterday, but not toward evening, and or in the evening, I think it was. But it was really pretty. It was huge flakes, and George, the puppy, our puppy, just really didn't know what to do. It was his first snowfall, and so he was sticking pretty close to me. And practically, leaning up against my leg, and trying to get him to play. And it took him a good, 30 minutes to figure out that, oh, okay, this isn't going to hurt me, and it's going to actually kind of be fun. So now he's out there. When he was out there earlier this morning, it was a lot of ice, and so he was, and he loves ice. Yeah, you might say he's kind of addicted to ice cubes. We use the ice cubes for his teething, right? And so he's gotten to know the refrigerator or the freezer door noise, and so whenever we open it up, it's like he thinks he needs to have some ice. So yesterday he got to have some ice. No, I think it was this morning. This morning he had ice outside. I think it shocked him. So I hope you're having a good Monday. Monday morning here was a little busy. But not as busy as Tuesday mornings, that's for sure. So I had a little time to actually get caught up on some paperwork and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I was kind of in the, it's the part of business I really don't enjoy doing, and that's the bookkeeping and the paper trail. But somebody's got to do it, right? And so it may as well be me, since I'm the one that's responsible. I'm the steward. And so so we get that done. And this morning was the morning. I got to put a pretty good dent in it, and because I'm kind of behind. So today's card draw, we got 3 cards again, and it's very interesting. The theme that has been running through the card draws. Last week, early in the week, a lot of it was about change and experiencing change. George, experiencing change, and actually facing the change, right? And this toward the end of the week and into the weekend, it was about going within and taking the opportunity that winter has to offer, and to go within and taking a look at the shadow self, taking a look at our fears and facing those things, right? Well, this morning, this is the first card that came, and that's Shaman, trust in higher forces. This is a very interesting card. We've had this card before, and it is still one of my favorite ones. There's a lot going on in this card because he has the antlers up here, and he has bells on the antlers. That's about clairaudience. He's got beads around his throat chakra, and of course the flowers, the feathers. George, hang on just a minute. I'm going to give him his pawn. Here, there you go. That'll keep him busy just for a little bit. And of course the owl, right? There's a lot going on this card. A lot of meaning behind this card for Shaman. And I've said this a few times, is that the word shaman, a lot of people believe or equate it to Native America or Native American. And it's not that we don't have individuals within our clans and our tribes, our nations, that are the equivalent to a shaman. They're usually called holy people or medicine people. But shaman, the word itself, actually comes from the Sami. And the Sami are indigenous people to Norway and Finland and southern Russia, northern China, Mongolia, just above Mongolia. They actually reach from the east side of the Ural Mountains and the west side of the Ural Mountains. Many people know them also known as the reindeer people. But shaman comes from their language, and the word shaman translated, and I'm going to call it a loose translation because we all know that you can't really translate from an indigenous language into English very, very well. But the loose translation is one who travels in the dark. Okay, one who travels in the dark. So that takes on a couple of meanings. That means that when they do the journey work, right, much of that travel is done in the dark, literally, because usually they have their eyes, bandana or scarf or something over their eyes, and so they are in the dark. But they also go to the lower world, which is also dark. There's ambient light there, but it's not like brilliant sunlight. And so the travel for the shaman, one who travels in the dark, they usually travel for other people. They do tend to travel for themselves too, but they do travel in the dark, and it's got a couple of different meanings to it. So I just wanted to make sure that, it's a little some time that we can actually talk about what that word means, and the fact that it's not a Native American word. It doesn't come from a native language here on Turtle Island. Hey, Cindy Lynn, good to have you in the chat along with Stephanie. So glad you ladies are with me. This is the first card that came this morning. Shaman, trust in the higher forces. Yeah. And there's a lot going on in that card, don't you think? There's a lot to look at, a lot to read into that card. And I would like to share what the author, Kyle Gray, has to say about shaman. and how it applies for the energy important for us to know today. So he says that the message is trust in your angels, guides, and ancestors. If you have given your power away, claim it back. On the inner planes, all of the shamans of times gone by are helping the human race to understand the complexities of life and the needs of Mother Earth. Many are working as spiritual guides to light workers and light warriors. The shaman card brings the energy of your shaman guides to you. You know, when I reread that for this morning, one of the things that came to me is that, and this was quite a while ago, when I first started reading stuff, you know, on my spiritual journey, and one of the things that happened is that I realized that the guides that many people have, non-indigenous people, not native, I should say, non-native people, is that they do have a lot of Native American guides, and you know, I at first I used to smile about it. It's like, you know, is this how, you know, and I didn't have any Native American guides. And I always thought, well, that is so odd. You know, here I am, Native American. You'd think I'd have a Native American guide, right? And so I even went into meditation about it. And this has got to be like maybe 15, 20 years ago. And my spiritual team thought it was hilarious. And they were saying, you do have Native American guides. I said, I do? Who are they? Why haven't I known about this? And they said they're called ancestors. It's like, oh, you know, it's like one of those things like, oh, I overthought that one, huh? That was when the mental mind was really trying to make logical sense of stuff that's not logical. But I did ask them why, if they could help me understand why there were so many people with Native American guides. And the response was that it was to help people remember their connection to the earth, to grandmother, and also to balance out the knowledge base, I guess is the best way to put it. And that connection that non-Native people may not even understand Native Americans. And so when they have a guide who is Native American, they can actually help them to do that. And so then it made a whole lot of sense to me, right? A whole lot of sense. My puppy has gotten to the point where he likes to climb on furniture, and that's what he's doing right now. I have to take a break just for a sec. Okay, now you got to stay off from there. It's got wires on it. Okay? All right. All right. All right, so the studio setup, so that he doesn't have access to like electrical power cords and that sort of thing. We kind of rigged it so that the wires go across the countertop and then over to a chair, and then everything kind of sits on the chair, the extra, extension cords and that kind of thing. And I push the chair up against a side table that I have, and so that he can't get up on the chair. Well, he figured out how to get up on the chair. Yeah. So I'm going to have to rethink that. Hey, Elise joined us. So good you're here, Elise. And Stephanie says, if you enjoy Neshi's Nacho, make sure you share the video. You can find the archives on YouTube and in Star Nation's group. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm going to do this for you. Let's see if we can get this to work. I know. And there we go. We're going to give you eye hearts. Hi, Janita. It's good to have you with us. And Lisa's saying hello to everybody. Maya, hello, Maya. Welcome to the live stream. And there I am. I just gave you hard eyes there, Stephanie. Thank you for saying that in the chat. I appreciate that. Um, so for those who just joined us, this is the first card that we got for this morning. And it's called Shaman, Trust in the Higher Forces, right? And the author goes on to say that shamans believed that when there was illness or disease, it was because a person's power had been left behind somewhere or a negative pattern had been installed. And in trance, they would travel to the underworld to recall this power and remove, we're going to put it in quotation marks, demons, lower vibrational. It says that if this card comes to you, it's because you need to do some release work with lower energies or with your lack of trust in the spiritual energies that are guiding you. The shaman will aid you in your quest. And so basically, that when I read that, I was thinking, okay, so that is about trusting our own intuition and our own connection to spirit, right? And I really think that when we go to mediums, psychics, to get readings and that kind of thing, I think that's great. I mean, it helps with validation, right? But I also believe that we're so much better for ourselves when we trust our inner guidance, when we trust our spiritual team, when we begin to trust ourselves and our intuition, right? It doesn't mean going to a reader is a bad thing. No, in fact, many times it's very good to get the validation and the confirmation is that, yeah, I'm on the right track, that I'm going to keep going, I'm on the right path, right? But with this card, what this card I feel that it's saying is that turning to our spiritual team, and we have members on our spiritual team who can assist us and help us with with George. I don't know. He's a card and a half. He keeps me smiling, and he gets himself into situations that I just have to go, what? How'd you do that? Okay. All right. So he had himself between the altar and it's kind of like a cart, I guess is the best term for it. And it was kind of in between the altar and the cart. I don't know how he got in there, but he got himself out. Good Lord. Yeah, he's 3 months old. Yeah, it's got a lot of energy. All right, so with this card, I do believe that it's asking us to be more aware and to actually to begin to trust in our own intuition and our own connection to spirit. And this is one of the things that I like doing about these live streams is because we can have a conversation about this piece. I know that there's many people who are very intuitive. Everyone has intuition, right? Everyone does. But there's some people who are more connected to it. They pay more attention to it. They turn their focus to it. And then there's those who obviously have a really good, strong connection, whether it's through clairvoyance or clairaudience or whatever like that. And yet they second guess themselves. They look for a logical reason why something would happen, right? When spirit can move just about anything, and many times it is illogical. There's no logic to it. And so we start second guessing ourselves, or we start listening to people who say, well, prove it. It's like, you don't have to prove anything. You can make your statement. You can say, okay, this is what I saw happening, or this is how I sense this. And they can believe you or not. It doesn't matter. As long as you believe you, that's what matters. And so many times, especially with family, sometimes you kind of hang back and you don't say anything out loud about it, and you sit back and you watch and you wait, right? And so then when it is that something that you had sensed actually comes into the third world, or the third dimension, or the fourth dimension that we're in now, into the physical plane, um, that's your validation. Yeah. Yeah. So how many of you guys do that? Is that you have this intuition, but you just kind of sit back and you wait and you watch and see how it unfolds. Hi, Rashani. He says, good evening from South Africa, Johannesburg. Oh my goodness, it's late there, 2100 hours. Thank you for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. This live stream is about every day I do a card draw, connecting to my spiritual team and asking what is the energy that's most important for us to know about today, and to be for our highest good, of course, and also to share with others. And so this morning, the first card that came for me was Shaman, trust in the higher forces. And the author, Kyle Gray, goes on to say that there are spiritual allies working in your favor, and their miracles will unfold much more easily when you move into a state of trust. So call back your power and stop allowing external forces to divert you from the miracles you deserve. Hand over all of your concerns to your spiritual allies. When you do so, you'll allow them to send you intuitive guidance and messages that will allow you to correct the situation and come out on top. The Shaman card also shows you that shamanic potential to move between the realms and connect with your guides in an extremely personal way. So basically, it's trust your intuition. Turn to your spiritual team and ask for help. How many times have we said that, right? Since we started doing these live streams. And it's so true. Every time I have not paid attention to or not listened to my spiritual team, that quiet voice that I hear, every time I have disregarded it, ignored it, gone completely the opposite direction, I have been 100% wrong. Or the path was a lot more challenging than it needed to be. And so over the years, I have said, okay, I'm going to ask for help. And when the help arrives in the physical world, I pay attention. I pay attention to the signs, the symbols, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the things that show up. Yeah, yeah, because I've been wrong. I've been wrong a lot in my younger years. Oh my gosh, my 20s. Yep, it was a challenging time. Johnny says, excellent message. I can identify with that, especially during this difficult period for me. Cindy Lynn says, I'm a bit of both. I do have times I doubt my gifts, though I've learned not to, sometimes the hard way. I know. In our challenges, in numerology, when you have your chart done, right? It's something that's called challenges, and they happen during certain ages, right? Mine was 28 and 58 were my major challenges, and let me tell you, those were rough years. And yeah, but you know what I've learned, even with that, is the challenges, those really tough times, some people call it the dark night of the soul, that is where our most soul growth that happens. Yep. Our soul growth doesn't always happen in those really simple times, and we'll call it that, simple. It can, but the impact, and especially those kinds of that kind of soul growth that literally changes your life, changes the trajectory of your life. Those happen from those challenging times. the ones that bring you to your knees, And many times for me, those times came when I was the most resistant to the change, resistant to the directions really that Spirit was giving me. And once I surrendered and got into the flow of the energy, it was a bit easier, but still it was a stretch. It had growing pains to it. And so those challenges, yeah, they're not easy, not saying that they are. And I have a lot of empathy for you that are going through it right now. Because I'm just coming out of mine. I'm doing all the integration to the last year and a half. And even with the integration, sometimes, literally stops you in your tracks. And it's like, oh, yeah, I remember now. I have to do it differently now. Yeah. See, running a multi media business, Star Nations organization, we're a multimedia business and corporation. And running something like this, the stewardship of it from a heart center and not an ego center or mental mind centered, is different. And so, there are times when it's like, oh, wait a minute. No, we're not doing it that way. I know that, mainstream business wouldn't do it that way. Or they would want us to do it a certain way. And it's like, no, that's not coming from our hearts. No, we're coming from a balance between our mind and our heart. And that is what the last year and a half was all about for me. And so literally stops me in my tracks, and says, okay, no, we got to do this one the way we said we were going to. And so it's a lot of learning. Soul growth. Hello, Angie. I hope I pronounced that right. Angie? Yeah. Hello, welcome to the live stream. The second card that came, and for those people who are just joining us, probably should let you know what deck we're using. That would be nice, wouldn't it? This is the deck that we're using. It's Angels and Ancestors Oracle Cards by Kyle Gray. And Kyle comes from Scotland. That's where he makes his home. It's brand new deck. Literally. It was published in 2018 and released just this past September. And I had, when I ordered my deck, it was pre-ordered, right? And so I think I got it like the third week of September, and we didn't start using it until the fourth week of September. So brand new. And I was looking for a deck that had more Native American feel to it, and or more earth-based belief system. And this, when I was scrolling through Amazon.com, is where I got my deck. It just kind of jumped off the screen at me. I was like, this is it. And so I read about it. I read about him, and I ordered the deck. And I have to say, I really do like this deck of cards. And they're made really well, too. Okay, so here is the second card that came. I like this card a lot. Medicine Mother, honor your inner knowing. Isn't that a gorgeous card? I spent a long time gazing at this card this morning. Again, there's so much going on in the symbolism. She's wearing cowrie shells, cowrie, C-O-W-R-I-E shells around her neck, on her the neck piece that she's got on, and in many cultures, that type of shell has to do with abundance. It also has a very feminine energy to it, connected to the goddess. Yeah, and of course, the symbolism, the sign of infinity around her eyes, the balance of giving and receiving. I just really like this card a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of symbolism to it. And I love that color blue. And blue is about, the color is about information, right? It's about information. So if you really want somebody to, I used to do this when I worked for the state of Wisconsin for the government, another lifetime ago. Whenever I had to address secretary of our department or to give a presentation, I always wore my electric blue outfit. It was a blazer and skirt, Woolrich. Oh my gosh, I don't even wear those kinds of clothes anymore. But it was very, very conservative. But that color blue has a lot to do with information. So if you want people to pay attention to what you're saying, wear a color blue. Yeah. Hey, Julie Hedges is here. Hello, Julie. And Stephanie says, Neshi does a deal. Oh, good. Thank you, Julie, Stephanie, for explaining to Ange about it. And yeah, everybody's saying hi to Julie. Julie Hedges happens to be one of Star Nation's radio networks. We do Facebook live stream shows. And her show, The Tarot Journey, is coming up tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. And she, I should know the title of it. Hang on, do I have it up? No, I don't have it up. Julie, could you type in the title of your show for me, please? It's a very important show tonight for Julie. It's an important message. And she's got two guests with her coming on with her, Terry Ruel and Nicole Fix. And both of those ladies are, they have their career in psychology. And so what they're talking about is the use of our voice, speaking our truth, talking about things, our experiences that many times get hidden. And what they're talking about has a lot to do with the Me Too movement and women, and mostly telling their truth, saying their truth. Thank you, Julie. The title of her show is Say Something, Voices Over Violence. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I will be helping out with that show tonight. I'm going to be producing the show so that Julie can really focus in on the actual interview and the questions and that sort of thing. So you can join us. Yep. Julie's show, The Tarot Journey, 9 p.m. Eastern. Rashani says, I have that shell. Yeah, the cowrie shell. Yes. In fact, my medicine dress, which I got from Spirit many years ago, has 370 shells on it. This is the name of the shell, cowrie shell. Yes. And like I said, many indigenous nations, both on almost every continent, have a connection to this shell, the cowrie shell. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Julie is saying this is a group daily card share. Good info. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Julie says, speaking about speaking truth, our stories of pain and trauma, how we treat each other through that. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie is saying, I will have to catch the replay on YouTube. Yeah. And that's one of the nice things about our shows. They're all recorded. You can catch them here right on Facebook, usually at our fan pages. Each of the shows have their individual fan page. But we also have the shows uploaded to our YouTube channel. And I can put that link in there after we're done here. And so you guys have the link to the YouTube. So the Medicine Mother, I love that card. We're going to read a little bit about what Kyle has to say about this. The message on it is to honor your inner knowing. The message is take action. Do what you know you need to do. In other words, take action. And that goes back to when we get our intuition, when we get those intuitive hits, right? And if we don't act on it, that's all they are. It's a thoughts, or they're not in the physical world yet. Because in order for it to exist in the physical world, we, the two-leggeds, have to take action. It has to come through us. Our spiritual team can bring us the opportunities. They can bring us the signs, the symbols. They can bring the person to us, but if we don't act on it, it's not grounded to the physical plane. And so if we don't trust our intuition, if we don't trust ourselves and we don't act on it, then that opportunity fades. Right? Doesn't mean that you're not going to get another opportunity. It's just that particular one isn't on the earth plane. And Cindy, holy shell, that's a lot of shells. Yes, that is. 370 shells on my medicine dress. Yeah, and Jackie, hi Jackie, me too. I have 360 shells on mine. Yeah, when I was given the dress in a dream, and when I was bringing it into the physical plane, I remember it like it was yesterday, and yet it was in 2002, I think it was, is when I made it. I actually had the dream in 1996, but it took me about 4 years to bring it into the physical plane. Why? Because I was dealing with self-confidence, am I worthy issues. And so anyway, when it finally, I finally started working on it. And I remember driving from my home to a friend's house because I was helping her. She was doing a campaign. She was running for state senate. And so I was one of her volunteers, and I was driving to a meeting. And I was thinking about my dress, right? And I was thinking, I honestly, mental mind, I thought, oh, it's going to be a jingle dress, right? And with the metal cones. And when I was a kid, my dad used to make those cones. And so I was thinking, well, I could buy them now, or I could make them. And that would be much more powerful because I could put prayers into each one of them as I made the cones. And as I was driving, I was listening to my spiritual team talking to me, and so I was getting the validation. Am I on the right track to use the metal cones? And it was like all I heard was shells. Shells? What kind of shells? Cowrie shells. Okay, where do I get these cowrie shells? And so I had to wait for those to come in. I was actually in a different store, completely different store. They sold crystals and stones, and there were cowrie shells there. So I bought them. Anyway, that's how I got the shells on my dress. And as I was working on getting the shells onto the dress, Spirit gave me the exact measurements between each one. And so it took me a month to get that part done on the dress. And each one of those, they come in pairs. Each one of the pairs, they have an affirmation or prayer attached to it, right? And so when I was all done and we got the dress all sewn up, I finally sat down and counted how many shells are there on this dress? 370. And I'm thinking, 370, why? Because jingle dresses have 365, one cone for every day of the year, right? And so I'm thinking, 370, why 370? Okay. 370 because there's one for each direction, and then there's the fifth, which is spirit. And that was about not quite 10 years before the Mayan elders made an announcement that they were now going to be using the fifth element, which is spirit or ether. It's also called that. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked at the 370, but that's the reason why. One for each of the directions and one for spirit. So I have 370. Is it heavy? It is when I'm carrying it. It's not when I have it on. I don't know. Try not to think about that one too much because I'm just grateful that it's not heavy when I have it on. All right, so Kyle goes on to write about the medicine mother. He says, there's an old pattern rising up in you now, and it's time to deal with it and release it for good. Mm-hmm. He goes on to say, so the medicine of this card is that it's okay to make mistakes and get it wrong sometimes, and it's okay for things to come to an end. It's not the end of the world. It's just the end of one chapter and the beginning of something new. The medicine woman reminds you that even though you will have low lows, you aren't here to suffer. You're here to be supported and to support others. Let her give you the loving encouragement to take the next step. Okay. So if we're in a time frame where we have an old pattern coming to the surface, something that perhaps no longer serves you, something that you've had for quite a while, and what comes to me are something that's called coping mechanisms. When we're very young, we learn certain behaviors or thoughts that help us to get through challenging or hurtful times, right? So, for instance, never showing you're angry. This is something that happened to me. Don't ever show them your extreme emotions, whether you're happy, extremely happy, or extremely angry or sad. And why? Is because if somebody knows what makes you very happy or very angry or very sad, then they can use that against you, right? This is my mother telling me this. And so as a child and as a young adult, that's what I did. It's called suppressing your emotions. So when challenging times would come up, that would be my go-to. That would be my coping mechanism. Late 30s, early 40s, I realized, oh my God, this doesn't work. Because all it did was give me an ulcer. I had an ulcer when I was 16. That's not healthy. And so it took me a while to let that go and to replace it with a much healthier way, and that is expressing your emotions in a healthy way. Doesn't mean that you don't get angry, doesn't mean that you don't get sad. It means about feeling the feelings and expressing them in a healthy way. In other words, you're not being mean to somebody else. You're not taking it out on someone else. But that you're actually saying, you know what you just did hurt my feelings, or what you just said to me, that I can't allow because, I have self-respect, right? Or something like that. You're actually using your voice to say it. Now, it does take courage. It does take bravery sometimes to actually say it. And also, I have to add in here, sometimes you do express it to yourself, but not out loud. You just say, you know what? I'm just going to walk away from this one. Doesn't mean that you're suppressing it. You recognize it yourself. You actually can talk to your spiritual team about it. But sometimes it's the best avenue is to walk away. Yeah, not to suppress it though. You can express it in other ways, more healthy ways. Yep. Wow. Yes, Julie saying staying quiet. Yeah. On the outside, it looks like it's quiet. What others possibly could see. On the inside, you're a mess because you're angry and all of that is going in, or you're really sad and all that is going in, staying inside. That you're a mess on the inside. People who are empathic, it's one of their gifts, right? Us empaths, we can tell, even though the person on the outside looks very, they're handling it quite well, as they say, because you were not seeing it. But as an empath, you're feeling it. You can feel the rage. You can look in their eyes and see the pain or the hurt. And then then it's almost like the mask comes over, right? Yeah. So I'm just saying, you may have an old behavior that's coming to the surface through when this card gets drawn. Okay. And if you have that, is to talk to your spiritual team. If you need help from a therapist or a healer or something like that, is to actually ask your team to please bring me the best person to help me through this, right? And so, and then wait for that to come to you, because it will. Somebody will be talking to you about, oh yeah, I just went and saw so and so, and she does really good massage therapy, or I just had a Reiki session with so and so. So you have to be ready to receive the help. Cindy saying, "Yep." Mary saying, "Results in depression and anxiety." Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it also, the anxiety part, that has some connections to control issues. There's some aspects of the need to control certain aspects of what's going on around in your life, because you have all the suppressed emotions, feelings, and so some of that anxiety is also attached to that. All right. So he says that you're being encouraged to love and respect yourself enough to take the steps you need to take to move closer to where you would like to be, which, for most of us, it is about being our authentic self, our soul self, to live the life and to be the soul that we were meant to be here at this time. You know what you need to do. You may have been using delaying tactics or holding back, but now you're being guided to take action. Action requires courage, but your angels and guides are bringing you the courage to move forward. Take just one step. When you do, the next one will be presented to you. So that's the medicine mother. Medicine mother. Honor your inner knowing that you need to move forward, to take action, to believe in your intuition, and then take action. All right, here's the third card. He's back. I think we've had Wolf at least 4 or 5 times. Winter, take care of your needs. And now that when I see this card, it's about going within, taking the energy of winter and going within and having the opportunity to look at your fears, to look at that your shadow self. What is there that needs to be healed? And with the medicine mother, when you have something that you've had in your past coming to the surface, a past behavior coming to the surface, perhaps that's what we need to take a look at. and do our own inner healing, our work, so that when we heal that aspect of ourselves, that's another layer of debris, interference, and blocking our soul expression, right? We get to use more of our gifts. Yay. That's what I want. And we can have the kind of life that you want to enjoy here, right? Joy, peace, harmony, fun, right? Yeah. The wolf card, winter. One of the things that about wolves is that it's a little bit of a misnomer. Is that the lone wolf, the lone wolf. We happen to have some experts here, not too far from us, on wolves, and my husband happens to know one of them. And so we've gotten his books and I've read them. And one of the things that is a misnomer is that about the lone wolf. Generally, wolves travel in packs. They're very community minded. They are family oriented. The alpha male and the alpha female mate for life. They take care of their young and their old. If you see a lone wolf, it's usually a young male, and they're looking for their mate. They're looking to start their own pack. Yeah, so generally speaking, there are no lone wolves. That single wolf that you might see or hear about is generally a young male who is looking to start his own family, his own pack. And sometimes a young male will break off from the larger pack to start his own family and take some of the young wolves with him. If he's the alpha, he may take some of the other wolves with him to start their own pack. But very, very seldom do you see just a wolf living on their own. They are pack oriented. Yeah. Jackie's saying, I love this. Me too. I do too. I love having the spiritual conversation and to share this information and see what you guys feel and think about this. I think this particular combination of cards today really has a higher impact, a higher frequency is what I'm going to say. It's almost like, how do we want to say this? Okay, let's use essential oils as a metaphor, okay? Is that when you're using a certain oil, right? And you have a carrier oil with it. And sometimes what we do is we use another oil to help penetrate the muscle. So let's say you're using, I don't know, let's say you're using lavender, right? And you have a carrier oil with it. In order to push it into the muscle, you might use a drop of peppermint or wintergreen or something like that to help with the penetration. That's what this card draw this morning or today's is for me. Is that for the last few days we've been talking about change and about facing our shadow selves, facing our fears, and asking our ancestors to help us, asking our spiritual team to help us to do that, right? And the wolf keeps coming up over and over and over again. And so I think that wolf really is trying to get the message through. He's like the peppermint oil. The winter card features a wolf, one of few animals that stays active all year round. You have an opportunity to move beyond your fears. Although you may feel in the dark, get comfortable with being in the unknown and trust that the light within you will sustain you through what may seem a challenging process. Ask yourself what you need to do to feel the support, to feel supported and alive. You may uncover something from your past that you've buried deep, right? And the medicine mother, she was saying that there's an old pattern rising up in you now, and it's time to deal with it and release it for good. So I think we're dealing with some really deep, intense healing, getting to the root of something that you've been going through, that it's a repetition over and over and over. It comes to you from different perspectives, different angles, but it's all the same thing. And so now it's time to really take a look at, where did this really start? And go to the root of it, to finally heal it, to learn whatever you were supposed to learn from it, and to have that soul growth from it. And we all have one. It's not like, and we get a pass on it. No, we all have something like that. So what I believe that the cards draw for today, that's what the message is all about. Because this is the shaman, right? Trust in the higher forces. What does a shaman do? He travels in the dark. One who travels in the dark. And then we have the medicine mother. Honor your inner knowing and taking action. And then there's the wolf. Let's see if we get them all in there. And then there's the wolf. And in the winter, it's about, the winter is taking care of your needs. Taking care of your needs. I think this is a pretty profound reading. I'll get them in order here. Get them in order. We started with the shaman. The shaman. Medicine mother, and then the wolf. Those three together, pretty powerful. That's what we would call big medicine. Big medicine. What do you guys think? How do you feel about that? Yeah, I think it's a pretty big one. The Winter Camp Project. Affirmation. Good. She says that when traveling, the elder wolves lead the pack to set the pace. Yep, with some of the strongest directly behind them. The middle of the pack is protected by more of the strongest. At the back and at the far back of the pack will be the leader. Yes, to make sure no one gets left behind. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So the leader of the pack is the last one when they're traveling, making sure that everyone is safe and that everybody gets to where they're going, and that nobody gets left behind. And they take care of the elder wolf and they take care of their pups. Mine happens to be the sleep underneath my chair. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed today's conversation. And if it resonated with you, any part of it, please, embrace it. See how the energy unfolds for you today, and where you see it in your life. Are you a direct participant in it, or are you a witness to its unfolding for someone? And either way, you're learning something from it, right? It's important. If it didn't resonate with you, no worries. It wasn't for you. I always say that maybe you're the messenger. Maybe you know somebody who would enjoy the information or has been looking for the information, and you can share the recorded broadcast with them, right? Be the messenger. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that we have shows starting tonight, live stream shows. The first one up tonight is the Paul Krauss Show. That's on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a replay, but it's from an older show that you may not have heard before. The title of it is What the Bleep is Zen? And it's an interview that Paul did with a Zen master in Kyoto, Japan, because that's where Paul lives, is in Japan. And so we have that replay for you. And I think it's going to be up on his page. I think I have it scheduled for 6 p.m. Central, or maybe it's 7 p.m. Central. So there's that. Paul's just coming off from vacation and trying to get caught up with stuff at home. And so suggested we do a replay so that he gets a little less stress in his life. Jackie's saying it's all right on for me today. Oh, that's good, Jackie. I'm glad it was helpful, really. Because it certainly hit some spots for me too. And then there's Julie Hedges' show, The Tarot Journey, and that's at 9 p.m. And she shared the title of that show with us. I'm gonna scroll up. Why can't I keep that in my head? I don't know. Say something. Voices over violence is the topic of her show, and that's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a really deep conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be producing, so I get to front row seat. And then tomorrow at noon is Polly Jo LeBay's show, Chakra Sessions. And she does education about our chakras and also leads a healing meditation around that particular chakra. And that's at noon Eastern. And then we're going to do this live stream at 2 p.m. East Central. And then in the evening, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time is my weekly show, Communications from Home. And this week we're going to be sharing about the backstory of the October issue of Star Nations magazine. We got some good ones. I hope you join me for that one because we got some information for you. And it's our 5th anniversary. October is our anniversary month for Star Nations magazine. We've been in publication for 5 years now. I can't believe it. 5 years. So join me for that. Wednesdays, Polly Jo's back at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is the Soul Connections. If you are a energy worker, a light worker, and haven't made time for your own healing, Wednesday nights are meant for us. We can go into that healing meditation that it's guided that Polly Jo offers with our spiritual team, with our own intentions. And she holds that sacred space and helps our team with her team to release and to heal those that we have set our own intentions for. And then she follows that up with a card draw for individuals who would like to have a card. It's a mini reading from her after the healing meditation. And so it's about an hour and a half show. So, and that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. It's a busy week. Oh my goodness. And I forgot about my other show with my co-host and sister, Minnie Kanman. Our show, Nature Adventures. New day, Wednesday at a new time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And this month we are talking about autumn, fall, and make like a tree and leave. That's the title of the show. It's about releasing. And so join us. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday afternoon. So, you know what? Enjoy the rest of your Monday. And we hope to see you back here to enjoy the live stream shows this evening. Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again, like tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central. I love you guys.